the husband calling me up and saying, Radhika, you have actually created magic in this house. There is love, there is belongingness, and they didn't even have to go through the IVF process. And she is pregnant. She's 3 months pregnant now.
Radhika Srinivasan, I wouldn't call her as a fitness freak, but a fitness enthusiast. And by the way, both of them are classmates, Danya and Radhika. So it's good to have their sessions back to back. So Radhika, please.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody, for joining this session. Before we start the session, I would like to express my gratitude because I feel so fortunate to be a part of this celebration today, 3 years of completion. Actually, a newborn me is 2 years old. So although HNTP is 3 years old, the new person that you see on this screen today is 2 years old after having gone through this HNTP course. And I express my gratitude to ma'am and sir because I would like to emphasize one thing here. College gave me knowledge, but HNTP gave me the skill set to spread and transform not only myself, but it empowered me to go and transform others' life. I found the purpose of my life, maybe late, but I found it. So thank you so much, sir and ma'am, for equipping us with this life skill tool. And I think this has been the brilliant change in my life at the age of 45. Today I'm 47, but yeah, it's never too late. I would now jump onto this case. I would like to narrate this story. And it's a very beautiful journey I had. And you will see two pictures here, right? The left says mind, body, soul. And the right says, it's a very typical picture of any nutritionist. There'll be this measuring tape and apple. So it says, symbolic, saying, oh, there'll be inch loss or a lot of things. And then it says, apple a day keeps the doctor away. But on the left, you will see something else. And this is what HNTP did to me. I started wearing dual hats. Always that used to naturally come was the clinical nutrition. But it took me time to move on to the other side where I said, I need to wear a different hat and I need to become a holistic nutritionist. And that's what happened. And all credit goes to the content that Sir has created and the way he has actually delivered, and we've all imbibed. So this is that symbol, and this is what this slide says. So as usual, I go on to the next slide, which is the first hat I wore, right? It still takes time to unlearn certain things. So as typical, it all started with, how old are you? What's your name? What is your occupation? Because very important to connect to that person, find a common thread. So as a protocol, I did this. And that was the first stage of connecting because you need to start. And this client of mine is in Mumbai. Most of my clients are in Mumbai or somewhere else, very few in Pune. And that was the power of, technology where WhatsApp worked, calls worked. And that's how I got her through a reference. As the normal case, the next thing I went to say, she said, what happened? Why have you got in touch with me? She said, I'm overweight. I want to look thin. I said, okay, what's your weight, height? And that's where this data comes into play. And she says, why have I put a picture of a puppy dog on this? Because that's how she used to feel every day. She used to say, I used to go and stand on the scale every day, and hoping like a doggy always looks for food. She said, I used to always look for whether the scale has moved to the left side. And that was hope every day without doing anything much. Okay. So that was what she told me when I had a conversation with her. I said, okay, fine. Let us play because always conventionally, whenever a person or a client calls you up, it's only food that they want to talk about. And I said, okay, fine. And I generally take a dietary recall with pictures because that gives me more perspective of portion. Very interesting thing that I also observed. And this I learned from Sir. He used to say you need to be curious. And curiosity actually taught me much more to observe in this picture because it was not only the food plate that I looked in. Most of the times I used to see a remote next to her plate. I used to see some gadget, she used to play with something. So without even realizing, the picture actually showed me what was her state of mind. What is it that she's doing? And many a time she used to send pictures where the reflection, I could see the TV screen on. So there were different pictures. Every time I saw, I just became more curious to look at the picture closely, observe if something else could be seen. So this is the picture, happy. She says, yeah, yeah, I have a good meal. And she always believed in fancy things. She says, whatever's in the market, I want to go and buy those things. If it was written that this is good for health. So she used to say, see, this is drum wheat and this is lentil, this is a pre-mix. I let her do everything initially. And this is the way I took a dietary recall rather than just asking her to write something. I said, post pictures. And that's how I got these pictures. And this was a dietary recall. I did that. And then the tool that I was equipped with was the 7 areas, because that is what holistic nutrition. So this is the second hat I wore. I moved away from the first hat and I said, let me look at all these areas. Very interesting story. First, physical fitness. The next I will actually tell you what she spoke about. So at this point in time, I will not probably touch upon this. Very interesting story is about her career that she spoke. If you see, there's a mic and the whole setup. That's because she was a voiceover artist. And I asked her, she was very passionate about it. And then I probed her more. I said, are you happy with this profession? She said, yeah. I want to tell you my journey about this. I was actually in the IT professional and I was a coder. I did this, did that. I said, then what happened? She says, there's no satisfaction in this job that I was doing. She said, I made a lot of money, but I hardly spoke to anybody. I had no means of expressing something. So that was a word I caught on to, because that was so, she emphasized on it and kept telling. And she says, then I enjoyed voiceover was a thing, whether I'm talking to a no, but I kept opening my mouth and every day I used to get exhausted by the time because I had spoken so much. That was a big cue for me. I was like, I need to look at this more carefully. So I noted that down at that point in time. Coming to the other part of spirituality. So she says, no, I meditate very regularly. I believe in the supernatural. I do not believe in idol worship. So I took down all the details that she gave. But then the last sentence she said, I don't like God. I'm annoyed with God. So I said, okay, fine. So all these statements that she used, I did not take it lightly. I kind of, when I write, because I'm a paper pen person, so I wrote everything down in bold, and I'm also very pictorial. So I write with green markers. So, that words, then I know I have to work on these words. Coming to the next picture of monetary, how was a economical or financial? So she said, I'm so happy because in the first job, I made a lot of money. I have saved a lot of money. So now that I work, I do not work for money. I love my job because I can go talk. So financially, she was very well taken care of. And coming to her personal life, she says, I've lost my identity. I don't know what it is. I didn't probe her much the first day because the first time we had. And trust me, the first call when I had went for an hour. I didn't stop myself. I said, because let her speak about it. So we did that. And that's when she came with certain negativity. She says, although I feel confident, but I don't know whether it's really living this life. A lot of negativity was there in that conversation. Coming to a socio-economical, socio-emotional, she kept saying, I'm this person. Sometimes I feel very high. And she said, I feel high only till the effect of exercise and running lasts. And that used to only last till 9:30 in the morning. Because her morning ritual, I'll come to this picture of physical fitness in the next slide. That was only the time when you used to feel happy. After 9:30, she says, all the negative thoughts. While she was running, the words used to be optimism, possible, I can do it, I will do it, I can run, I am running. But as soon as she used to come back home and the exercise got over, she went into this negative mode of the past, why that had happened. She was the unlucky one. All these words were what I captured when I spoke about this aspect of her life. And finally, coming to social, she says, I live in Mumbai. That's the best place for socializing. Evenings, I just pretend to be happy and I go to the best places to party. So she was very vocal about this whole thing. And she said, yeah, I have a very good social circle. But trust me, that is just to, go and engage, as it was a ritual she used to do. So every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this is what she used to say. And she said, oh, I have a big social circle. Instagram, she was very happy because everybody used to come and say, oh, this dress looks good, this place looks good. So she said, nobody knew what I felt when I was partying. And she gave me more clues about it, which I will share. So this is what happened when I wore the hat of a holistic nutritionist, where I could touch upon these aspects. I could actually go dig deep. And this gave me all the reason to dig deep further. And I had decided for first 2 weeks, I'm not going to give any diet or chart or anything. And this is what happened. So this was her wish list when it came to a physical. I said, what do you expect out of this? Although we had a conversation, what is it that you want? Look at the sequence of things that she's written. I want to sleep early. So this itself said she had a very disturbed sleep, which happened after in the consequent conversations that I had, I got to know this. She says she gave so much importance to sleep because she says, I don't know when was the last time I slept peacefully. She kept telling me that. Then she said, a sub 1, 10 kilometers in 1 year, sub 2 in 3 years. And what actually look at the sequence. And then she says to be able to conceive because she had a clinical condition and she could not conceive. That was the down on the bottom, right? And the other things went on. I want my skin to be good. I want to be muscular. I want to do more push-ups. So this is the wish list that came out of it. I jotted everything down, did not start acting on it immediately because something in me said I need to have more conversations. As far as medical history was concerned, I did not bother much. She sent me all her reports, the medication, because she was already frustrated. The minute I spoke about this, she used to say, oh, I have another call, and she used to kind of disconnect. I realized this was an area I need not talk to her about. So I did not pay much attention, and I just noted it. After around the total time I spent in history taking was almost 5 sessions, 1 hour each. And that used to be at night. I said, okay, because she used to say that's the only time after she came back home after her recordings, 8:30 was the only time she was convenient. That was convenient for her. So 5 sessions twice a week was what I did because I did not want to have a bigger gap in it. I collected all the data. I made notes to all that she said. And then that's when I went to the root cause. I said, I have more work to do now. What, how, who, where, because all this is what I wanted to get out of whatever I had written. My notes went almost 15 to 18 pages I had written about her. And I went back and forth, made some notes out of it, and then I knew where I had to focus on. And when that happened, this is what happened. And the real story of 5 hours of noting down was bad childhood experience. She always saw womanhood as a curse because the way the father treated the mother was taken for granted. There were very abusive actions, words spoken. She had an elder brother who was more privileged than her. So she actually did not own herself as a woman. She did not feel privileged. And that went on and on and on. And that got somewhere in her subconscious, she did not enjoy womanhood at all. And in that narration, one day she told me, Radhika, I'm glad I'm not a mother. So one part of her never wanted to be a mother, whereas the other part, she says, I go for all these baby showers and I feel so bad that I'm the one who's not in a position to become a mother. And this is what those words kept saying. And what I focused on was retrain her mind. And I was sure if that happened, if the mind, because it's aham brahmasmi, if she starts thinking, if she's always negative and always didn't want, but if the mind started thinking of what she wants, rather being in that state, being a mother, that would have helped. And that's exactly what I worked on. I did not bother much about her diet. She knew a lot of it. All that I did was ensured, the portion was right, or probably the plating was right. Plating right itself meant love for self, right? You're not in a rush and just taking something from So I looked at those small things and I did not bother much about a diet plan. I only looked at her thoughts. And I was very sure that, she would move into a stage where she'd be a mother. And the sad part was she went through 5 times of failed IVF procedures. So she felt even more abused. She says, nobody, including my spouse, bothers to ask how it feels to torture my body and how it feels to be a failure. And she says it was so easy for my mothers to say, oh, this time it failed again. And she used to cry a lot. She used to cry. And I had told her, I can be the pad where she could text anything to me, send me voice messages, and I would not even reply or probably give her suggestions what to do. I said, this is a free space for you. Do not keep anything within. Before you go to bed, ensure all this comes out. And, we can see how to deal with this later. There was a time she says, I don't want to go meet my parents. But with a lot of talking, she said, let me change. And that's what I worked on, habit formation for her. I said, let's look at small things. Let's take daily tasks. Let's take weekly tasks. And all that I worked on was getting these. I said, I'm not going to do much. Dietary intervention was very, very minimal. She was very bad with drinking water. And what I told her was, I said the power of the first sip of water is what will do the magic. And that's how I started this process. I said every day morning, when you take that glass of water, believe and infuse those words that you actually want to experience. And then I said, drink that water. She started doing that. And, every week, and she used to come with anything before going to bed at night. She said, this is what I'm going to tell the water next day morning. It was very nice. The journey was very beautiful. There was a lot of effort, time, but I enjoyed doing that with her because I could see change in her. She felt loved. She was slowly enjoying, she started falling in love with herself. And she used to confess to me, Radhika, today I have a doctor's appointment. I'm scared of the sonography or the other reports, but deep down I feel I'm going to conceive someday. This change itself made me so happy. And slowly, as an outcome of all this, when she went back to the weighing scale, even the weight had started decreasing. Whereas that was not our focus. All that I did was tell her that tell your mind what you want. And then she started believing in those and she started doing those things. And then what I did, because I had to do something as far as being a holistic nutritionist, I had to focus on another aspect of how I brought around change. I asked her to write letters as if because she had so much against her parents, but she did not even want because she said, I don't have the courage to speak. I said, okay, let's write letters to them. So it started with writing those letters. Then I helped her to do forgiveness meditation. I said, let's download the Insight app. And both of us used to listen to the same thing. I said, let's be partners in this. And then I said, why was it important? So I did not do everything on the same time because I wanted to take it easy. I mean, I didn't want her to force with more habits, but I gradually introduced to writing the gratitude journal as well. And you know what the beautiful outcome of this whole thing was? And this just happened last Friday. The best thing that I've ever experienced is the husband calling me up and saying, Radhika, you have actually created magic in this house. There is love, there is belongingness, and they didn't even have to go through the IVF process. And she is pregnant. She's 3 months pregnant now. And her parents called me up. She says, we found our lost daughter because some of the unposted letters were posted finally. And she's 3 months pregnant this Friday. I still get goosebumps when I say this because I never thought I could do this as a nutritionist. I was like, this is a miracle, and it did work. It was just simply following what was taught to us as a life skill. Our coach, Dr. Suresh, has actually, the mentor has taught us. And just by blindly following today, I'm able to create such kind of, I'm able to give back to the society by being that person, what is taught to me today. And that's what happened. And my whole philosophy has moved from being just a clinical nutritionist. And I believe in holistic health now. It's all about the energies that we vibrate in. And if we start vibrating in that positive energy, we automatically attract more people whom we can help, and they also vibrate and put together actually brings out the change. And there is no one plan that can, work for all. We need to be a role model and practice what we preach. That's it. And that's all I have to share.
Yeah, that is really wonderful, Radhika. I mean, like, really, you are such a wonderful storyteller. Okay, really, really inspiring. Thank you so much. I mean, I wish we could spend more time on this, but yeah. So we have two more speakers to listen to. That is awesome. I mean, you have put everything into perspective in the final session. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing the case study. It is really inspiring for so many young dietitians over there. So to take up holistic practice also. And next we have, thank you so much,
Thank you,
Radhika.
sir. Thank you,
And,
sir.
and next we have Neerija.